Okay, very good. Thank you, Nick. And good afternoon, everyone. I'm calling to order the Beacon Hill Architectural Commission public hearing at 5:01 p.m. on Thursday, August 20th, 2026. This is the August 2026 hearing of the Beacon Hill Architectural Commission. My name is Mark Kiefer. I'm the chair. And also present today are Commissioners Allen and Steele. Today, the commission will be holding a public hearing to review applications in accordance with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Executive Order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, including the subsequent revisions. We're conducting this meeting online, which is to say over Zoom, to ensure public access to the deliberations of the Beacon Hill Architectural Commission. The public may access this call through telephone and video conferencing, aka Zoom. If you didn't hear the announcement before, the hearing is being recorded, so all further conversations between commissioners should be audible to the public in attendance until the hearing is adjourned. And at this time, we'd like to acknowledge any members of the media or public officials. Hi, Dan. There's Dan Murphy from the Beacon Hill Times. Welcome, Dan. Thanks for joining. Any other members of the media or elected or other public officials or their representatives? Okay, I don't think we see any, but if we do, we will certainly acknowledge you. Members of the public will have an opportunity to ask questions and provide public comment on applications and discussions. To do so, raise your hand, which is to say, as I think it will show on the screen shortly, meaning use that button at the bottom of your, probably on the bottom of your Zoom panel that says raise hand. It's got a little hand on it. We need to make sure you do that so Nick can find you. He will then unmute you, and when it's time to give public comment or receive public comment, we will let you know. We're going to do that for each application that comes before us. So we'll give you the heads up when for each application it's time to take public comment at that time. If you want to be heard on the record, again, please raise your hand using that button that says raise hand at the bottom of your Zoom panel. Okay, so with that, I think we are ready to begin. The first item is the ratification of the public hearing minutes. This is the July 16th, 2026 hearing. Commissioners, any comments, questions, edits, or revisions on the July hearing minutes?
I'm fine.
Nick, I just have two very minor things on the application for 59 Beacon Street, number 26.0952BH. 59 Beacon, I'm sorry, whatever I said. There's just a minor typo in documents presented. It says proposed mail slot, should be mail slot.
Okay.
And then on 131 Cambridge Street, 26.1138BH, 131 Cambridge Street. I just want to make sure we're clear on the record that this was technically approved in part and denied in prejudice in part. The denied in prejudice part meaning being the handrail. You've got it in the provisos, but should we just clarify that the application was, the motion was to approve in part and deny without prejudice in part? I'll just leave it to you to revise that if you know what I'm saying. Okay, other than that, I have no other revisions. Anyone else? Okay, I'll make a motion that with the aforementioned minor revisions that the July 16, 2026 public hearing minutes be approved. Here a second?
Second.
Okay, we will vote. Commissioner Allen? One more time, Marion, I didn't quite hear it.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Kiefer votes aye. Commissioner Steele?
Aye.
Okay, the minutes from July are approved. So the next item, moving to the design review portion of the hearing. The first item on the agenda is 115 Charles Street, which is, I believe, is that Maria or some other representative from 115 Charles Street?
I think it's Emil.
Oh, Emil, yes.
Hello.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
Hi there, Emil. Welcome. Thanks for coming in. Do you want to just give us a brief summary of what you're proposing?
We're replacing an old sign with new one, the same size, the same sort of material. Just the design that you
Oh my God.
see is
Sorry, folks. There's something, my computer's being a little,
Oh,
Sorry, Emil, we're just trying to get your application up on the screen so we can all see it. There we
there we
go. Thanks,
go.
Nick.
There it is.
Sorry about that, guys.
Great.
Yeah.
okay.
I'm sorry,
On
Emil,
the
please go
left-hand side, you can see the old sign which we're replacing. We're using the same bracket, just replacing the sign itself. The sign contains three-dimensional letters installed 1/4 inch away from the board, just to bring more flair, three-dimensional dramatic effect to the look of the sign, more artistic. And the background, on the background we have a logo, a star, and which is very complicated to be cut three-dimensionally or carved. That's why we can paint it with gold metallic, which it's gonna when put together with other gold, they look very good. The client is very happy with what they choose. So that's from me.
Great, thank you. So just to clarify, and I think, I believe the design might have been revised since you first submitted it. The sign is made of wood, correct?
That's correct, yes.
And the letters are metal, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and as you have this convenient sort of side view here, so the gold portions are painted and then the orange portions are applied metal, correct?
That's correct. These are metal letters painted very beautiful Aztec gold, which
Right.
it's sort of what you see on a screen, but it's much richer in
Right.
real life.
Right. Okay, and it's the same on both sides, I take it?
Yeah, the same
Right.
on both sides.
Great. Okay, and it's 35 by 35 inches, which I think is fine given our guidelines, 1.5 inches thick. Okay, commissioners, and it's an existing bracket. You're just hanging off the one that's there. So that seems all straightforward. Okay, commissioners, any other clarifying questions before we take public comment on this?
well, does it have to be this orange? Or is that part of the composite, Emil?
I beg your pardon?
The orange that you're using, does it have to be that color? Or is just the one?
Actually, this it's not exactly orange. It's called Aztec gold by the manufacturer called Gemini. It's the largest three-dimensional letter provider to the sign industry, and it's a unique color to them. It's nobody else has it. I have a sample in my office exactly how it's gonna look like when it's painted. So it sort of looks like the orange over there, but it's not orange. It's beautiful, rich gold, Aztec gold on a brownish orangish side.
Are you saying Aztec gold?
Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
it
this
is.
is how they call it. It's Aztec gold.
And this is the company is called Gemini, you said?
Gemini letters, logo and letters. They're the largest U.S. manufacturer of three-dimensional letters and signage.
Okay, and so just so we're clear, and I appreciate, let me back up and ask Emil, this company has existing stores already, is that correct?
They already have one store in Nantucket, I believe. If I zoom closer, yes, I believe this is their second store.
Okay, so is this color scheme their branding, as it were?
That's correct.
Okay, yeah, I'm just looking up this Aztec gold, and I'm seeing something that looks a lot more gold than orange.
Good.
Okay, but this is,
Gonna be
it would-
gold on
and it would
gold.
be consistent with their branding at their other stores, is that right?
That's my belief, because they come out with the design all I did, I enhanced their design by, instead of flat sign, I did the company name with three-dimensional letters to bring more flair to the sign, to make it more artistic, more attractive.
Okay, and do you have a paint chip or something that would that you could supply us for the colors?
I can give you very quick color match. How about that? I have Pantone book right here. I can match it right now.
Because we just want to have that on our record. I appreciate it. It's right here in the oh, Pantone 290U, I see, is the blue. Letters. Doesn't say, does it?
No, down below it says painted gold metallic.
Yeah, well, it says
Background.
it says right there, Aztec. So it's pretty much, so my fellow commissioners, it's gonna be a gold star with a different shade of gold letters.
Well, I
Yes,
think
it's called
that's
Aztec Gold.
Yes, it's actually listed here on the slide.
Okay, so Emil, just to be clear, the Aztec gold refers to the starfish or to the letters or
The
both?
letters.
To the letters.
The letters.
Letters,
Okay, so
yeah.
it's not so orange, it's more gold than orange, you're saying.
Exactly.
It looks very orange on the
I can
screen.
give you directly the Pantone that it's close to the Pantone. It's 160 C.
160C, you said. Oh yeah, that's much more kind of a rust color. Yeah,
That's right.
yeah. Yeah, it's not,
not as bright.
Sandy, it's not nearly so bright orange.
Okay. So
Yeah.
take your word for it.
Yeah, and I
The
think,
monitor shows different colors. That's why
Yeah.
when we were in my office with my client, we mixed and matched. We put together all the colors and it looked beautiful.
right.
And I do this for, let's say, 42 years.
Okay, I'm satisfied, Nick, Sandy, if you're still concerned, we could
No,
have Nick
if
put,
nobody
Yeah,
else is,
we-
no, I mean, if
yeah.
it's not that bright, I'm
We
okay.
we typically don't comment on company brand signing
Yeah.
colors. Typically in the past, so I guess we typically don't talk about this stuff because it's up to the branding.
Yeah, exactly. We indeed, and that's quite obviously integral to a lot of companies, even small businesses like this one. They've probably put a lot of effort into doing that. So, okay, it
Well,
sounds like we're
that's
okay
why
with
I
the
said if
colors.
that was their color, then that's.
Yeah,
Okay.
right. Okay, why don't we go ahead and take public comment? Again, if you want to be heard on the record, please press or click the raise hand button at the bottom of your Zoom panel and Nick will unmute you.
Okay, first up we have is Megan with the Civic Association. Megan, go ahead.
Hi, everybody. Thanks. So our comment is based on the application that says the letters are plastic. So the plastic and the 3M paint the 3M adhesive listed in the application. Those things wouldn't meet guideline I6 for durability due to the inevitability in the denting, chipping, and peeling. We feel that all wood detailing and flat graphics painted directly onto the wood would help satisfy, again, that guideline I6. Thank you.
And get a last minute change on this application at my request, so I apologize for not getting that over to the Civic Association. All right. Okay, Mark, that's all we have for public comment for this application.
Okay, thanks, Megan. And yeah, just to clarify 100%, the application has been revised. So it is what we'll be voting on is this current proposal, which is a wood sign with applied metal letters, so no plastic involved. Thank you, Emil, for making that change, by the way. That's very much appreciated. Okay, commissioners, I think we have not closed public comment. I see Patricia's hand up there, Nick.
Okay, Patricia, go ahead.
Yes, hi, thank you. I'm just wondering, could we see a photograph of this sign as it is on Nantucket? Or is there a way to see, to have a material, to have an example of this that, that Nick could see as to that color? Because it does look pretty, pretty bold in this picture. Just curiosity.
If you just Google Pantone 160C, you will see it is
Okay,
much more subtle.
okay, thank you.
Sure. And we'll
And looks like it's Nantasket actually.
oh
And
yes,
it looks
right.
like the signage is very similar, but slightly different. So
Mhm,
this is their Nantasket Beach
mhm.
section there. So it's a little bit different, but same overall design what you can see. So
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else for public comment before we close it?
not seeing any others, Mark.
Okay, so we'll close public comment. Thank you, Patricia and Megan. Commissioners, any other questions before we take a vote on this? Understanding that the color have been clarified. I think the sign meets our guidelines in every other respect and the city sign guidelines. So I will move that we approve the application as submitted.
Second,
Okay, we will vote. Commissioner Allen.
aye.
And Commissioner Kiefer votes aye. Commissioner Steele.
Aye.
Great. So Emil, the application is approved. You'll get a letter from Nick just confirming our determination. If you have any further questions, please just follow up with Nick directly. Thanks.
Just to say thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Next,
Thank you,
bye-bye.
Neil.
Next is 107 Charles Street, which I think is going to be Patrick or some other Shannon, perhaps.
Yes, hi, I'm Shannon with Monty French Design Studio. We're the architect for this project.
Hi, Shannon. Welcome. Thanks for coming in. You want to just, this is a continuation from last time, but you want to just give us a brief summary of where we are at this point and what you're proposing?
Yes, so we've revisited the line set covering strategy. I think if you click through farther in the presentation, we had one clarifying item we wanted to bring up. Last time in July, we had there was some discussion of the condenser locations. Those locations were approved at the February hearing of this year. So they were installed in that way. So we looked into some other strategies for the line set coverings. You can see here some photos of the installation as of early July. I sent Nick some photos earlier this week with our proposed strategy. So if we keep going through the presentation, our proposal here is we did find this brown insulating tape covering. Last time there was a discussion of a custom installation, custom colored installation. We weren't able to find anything with a custom coloring, but we did find this off-the-shelf product. It's an insulating foam with an adhesive tape backing. You can see in the top right image that it gets applied basically by wrapping around all of the line sets. We can keep it super tight. And I did send Nick some photos earlier in the week of what this insulating tape looks like on our site next to the brick exterior. We can pan down a little bit. Yeah, there we go. And there's some couple other images that I shared kind of stepping back a little bit closer to Cedar Lane Way, to see what this tape looks like.
And Shannon, just to clarify, this illustration here, which is very helpful, is primarily to demonstrate the color, right? We understand that you would wrap the lines with this tightly, so it wouldn't necessarily be the 3.5 inches wide that the tape is, as you see it here.
That's right.
Right. Okay. So this is just to give you a sense of the color. That's very helpful. Thanks. Very similar to the downspout there, looks like.
Yes. Yes.
That's the intention, I guess, right?
Yes, exactly.
Right. Okay. Sorry, continue, please.
So that's kind of our preferred proposal. We did include just a little snippet of a PVC downspout covering alternative. which would not be our preferred approach. I know PVC is not allowable based on the design guidelines, but something that is much more minimal than the metal covering that we were previously proposing. A product like this would allow us to group a couple of the line sets together to keep things kind of a little bit more streamlined. But just wanted to include this as an alternative for the purpose of discussion, but would like to focus on the insulating tape for the purposes of this presentation.
Okay, and just one last question with respect to that other alternative, the cover, the PVC that we were just looking at.
Yes.
We had asked about or inquired about something like this that would resemble a downspout, but am I correct in saying that it's your understanding that this does not come in a copper or otherwise metal configuration?
That's right. This is kind of a product that is specifically made for line set covering. So for the mechanical equipment that we're working with here, and it's kind of only available in the PVC material. You typically see this a lot in like single family homes in a bit more suburban areas. You may have seen them before in like a white color, but they are available in a variety of colors like this brown that we're showing here.
Right,
'Cause
okay.
That brown is a lot closer to the color of the downspout than that tape. That tape in the shadows, I'm not exactly sure what it truly looks like when the sun hits. Any way that there's a combination where you can have this color. And how do we feel about the tape in the first place? So I mean, let's have a discussion about that. How did the city feel about that, Nick?
I think it's appropriate if from a staff perspective, and I do have a sample on my desk that Mark was able to come by the office and take a look at. So,
What's the sample? Is it dark or does it look kind of reddish?
sorry, I'm keeping my camera
there
off
you
because
go.
yeah, sorry, my camera's off because I have a really weak connection. But
We're seeing that, yeah.
No, that works. Thank you.
so it's
Yeah.
right here, and it's pretty flexible. And
Yeah, Arian, I thought it looked pretty good, actually. I think, and maybe we should table this till after public comment, but I'll just say for the moment, the challenge here is, I think we all agreed that the copper that they were originally proposing is just way too, it draws way too much attention to itself. And we wanted something that would kind of go away. But I think we kind of acknowledge that trying to match the brick color, for example, is probably a fool's errand because the brick varies so much. And as you point out, Arian, when the light hits it, it's one thing. When it's in the shade, it's another. I think this is a pretty good compromise. It's never going to disappear, but it's probably maybe about as innocuous as we might hope for. Better than black, probably better than brick color, and definitely better than bright copper, in my opinion. The other advantage of it is, it's only, probably whatever, 3/8 of an inch thick, if that, and it's wrapped tightly, so you don't get in.
No, I'm fine
virtually
with
no
it.
extra bulk.
My only question was just really the color, more so because I wasn't too sure. But now that I've seen it in real life, so to speak, I'm
Right.
fine.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah, move forward. No
Right.
problem.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, Arian, I think the brick is a little browner than the illustration here on the left.
Okay.
Because it's not, maybe because it's dirty, but in any case, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so with that, yes, Shannon, just to affirm, the plastic, the PVC is going to be problematic, I think,
Yes.
as you point out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a better image of the tape.
Right. Very good. Yeah. See, the brick is actually quite brown in spots, and so the tape is darker than some bricks and lighter than others, but on the whole, I think it's maybe as good as we might get. Okay, so that's it, basically what we're talking about. And just remind us, because it's been a little while, how many lines are there and how far up do they go and all that?
So there are 6 lines. If you go to kind of one of the previous images in the presentation, we can see it sticks up above that rear wall about 18 inches or so. So we have 6 lines, and then we have a kind of drainage line and an electric line.
Right.
So
okay,
8 in total.
So it's not going up the whole height or even at the height of those existing conduits or cables or whatever they are. It's just,
That's correct.
There. Oh, there it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just under the sill
Yeah.
of that kind of first row of windows.
Right,
Exactly.
okay. So that's, yeah, great. Thank you. Okay, commissioners, any other clarifying questions before we take public comment on this?
So, well, so that actually goes up and around that first window and then. back
No,
again?
everything stays below that first window.
Oh, everything's down.
Yes, where you can see the little hand is kind of moving around in that area. In this image on the left, it's actually located like right behind the
There.
tree there. Yes.
Good.
So that's the top of it, Sandy.
No, I understand.
yeah.
I thought it was gonna mimic the lines that are there now. Okay.
Yeah, that's why I was asking, just to remind us of that, yeah. Okay, why don't we go ahead and take public comment? If you want to be heard on the record, please raise your hand using the button on your Zoom panel. Nick will unmute you.
Okay, first up we have is Megan. Megan, go ahead.
Hey there, everybody. So I just want to clarify that last month when we were talking about the copper cover, the material was not the issue. It was the size of the box was the huge issue, as it drew so much attention because of the size that the line sets were in. It was not a material issue because the copper oxidizes quickly. So for August, for this latest proposal, we feel the proposed line set cover that with the appearance resembling the downspout best satisfies guidelines A3 and A9. We ask the applicant to reconsider the proposed material as copper would be most historically appropriate. We oppose the PVC and the tape. Neither option satisfies guideline A3. That's all. I just would also like to note that it would go next to a copper downspout. And from our research, they absolutely make the smaller downspout looking cover in copper. Thank you.
Great. All right. Thank you, Megan. I'm not seeing any other public comment marks, so we can close it for this application.
Okay, thank you, Megan. Okay, so to sum up, I think it sounds like there's not a lot of interest in the PVC version. So what we're left with respect to the specifics of this application is the proposal to cover the 6 lines, which would extend 18 inches in apparent height above, or 18 inches above the level of the rear wall on the subject property 107. They'd each be covered, or perhaps bundles of 2 in this tape, which would, as I would understand it, effectively minimize the apparent width of the bundle of lines because it's smaller in dimension when they're done, when they're wrapped, than either the copper box that was originally proposed or the PVC conduit or any facsimile thereof. I think I've seen the sample. I think the color is a reasonable solution for what the challenge we have before us here, which is to try to make these things as innocuous as possible, understanding that it doesn't seem feasible to make them entirely disappear from view from the public way. So in light of the combination of the fact that only a relatively small portion of them will be visible, that it's a rear facade already cluttered with a number of utility related appurtenances and so forth, and then it's only visible from this short stretch of the end of this dead end lane, that I'm okay with the proposal to wrap them with the proposed tape. Any other views, dissenting or affirming or otherwise?
Are you making a motion?
I'm stating my opinion, but I didn't want to cut off discussion. So if either Aaron, if you,
discussed it in the beginning.
I'm sorry.
I mean, we kind of discussed it at the beginning.
Okay. So are you okay with me making a motion?
Yes, please.
Okay. Sandy, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I will move that the application be approved as submitted with the proviso that of the two proposed solutions, that the insulating tape in the brown color supplied as a sample to staff be used.
I second.
Okay, we will vote. Commissioner Allen,
Aye.
Commissioner Kiefer votes aye, Commissioner Steele.
Aye.
Great, thank you, Shannon, for coming in. You'll get a letter from Nick affirming our determination. If you have any questions, please follow up with him directly.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. And we're next as well.
Okay, so we'll turn to 109 Charles Street, which is of course the neighboring building. Is that still you, Shannon?
That's me.
Okay, please go ahead. Just bring us up to date where we were, where we are today.
Yes, so last month when we spoke with you, we had proposed a condenser location on the low roof in our rear yard. We can pause on this image. This is a good one to kind of open up the presentation here. So after some discussion with our contractors team and Nick and our ownership team, we're revising our proposed condenser locations to be at this flat roof portion that's shaded in pink, so in the rear of the property. We did discuss with our teams locating the condensers on that blank wall you see on the left image, but ultimately we have a 0 lot line condition here. So anything that would be mounted on that wall, while it wouldn't be visible from the public way, it ultimately would not be located on our property. So we're moving ahead with the proposal on the flat roof. If we keep moving, I have a couple of views from the street level to orient us. From Charles Street, we feel very confidently that we would not see these whatsoever. And in the rear here, kind of in the middle image, something to note is right next to kind of the pink dash line, we're seeing the very top of the chimney that's in the rear of the building. So if we go to the next slide, we put together a little sightline section diagram. So we're kind of our typical height for the condensers here is 2'10". The assumed height of our chimney is around 7 feet, which we estimated by counting the kind of number of bricks that we have there. So you can see here the dash line indicates kind of the line of sight from these different public ways on Cedar Lane Way and Charles Street. So we feel confident that we would have kind of a significant tolerance that the top of the condensers would not be visible from Cedar Lane Way. I did share some photos with Nick earlier this week. We did have a mock-up installed. We did look into kind of this slide here is just kind of looking at the different kind of models of condensers that are available. So we did have a mock-up installed. If we go kind of to the later images, we can see a view from the roof of what that looks like. Essentially, we put up a plywood box at that 2'10" height, which would be kind of the typical height of the condenser. Yeah, you can see it here. And the intent would be to keep things super tight to that sloped portion of the roof and line things up all right next to each other so that we can keep them as far back from the edge of the roof line as possible.
And Shannon, was that mock-up still up as of yesterday?
Yes, I took these photos yesterday, so it should be still installed today as well.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Go
And
back first.
Go ahead, Sandy.
Well, the sight lines before, where you had the sight lines from Cedar Lane Way and also Charles Street, that one, yes. Okay.
I did look at this from both sides, Charles Street and Cedar Lane Way, and I could not see any of it from anywhere.
Okay.
So just affirming what you see in this diagram. And as Shannon pointed out, you can see the chimney, the top of the chimney from Cedar Lane Way, which gave me even further confidence. So I know exactly where I was looking because I knew where the mock-up was. But you can't see the mock-up.
Okay.
Okay. Any other clarifying questions about this? Okay, let's go ahead and take Nick, sorry, go ahead.
Just to conversate the line sets. For the
I'm sorry?
The line sets of the units, where are they going to go?
So in
Oh,
this
yes.
scenario, they would we'd be able to penetrate through the roof. So we wouldn't have any line sets located on that kind of rear facade that things would kind of come out in the middle of the roof and go right into the condensers.
So nothing visible on the rear facade at all.
That's right.
Great. Okay, that's terrific. Thank you, Nick, for the reminder. Forgot about that. That was obviously an important element of the earlier application, so that's terrific that you've made the whole thing go away. That's great. Thank you for your perseverance in figuring out a more a preferable solution. That's great. Okay, why don't we go ahead and take public comment? If you want to be heard on the record, press the raise hand button on your Zoom, and Nick will call on you and unmute you.
Okay, first up we have is Megan. Go ahead.
Hi, everybody. So the proposed relocation of the condensers to the out of view location, we find them, they're not visible in the proposed location on top of the rear shed dormer. When we looked on Saturday morning, August 15th, last application this year, sheer size of the previous screening proposal sort of defeated the purpose of minimization to receive the exception from guideline A9. So again, we find them not visible in their newest proposed location. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Megan. There are no other public comments, Mark, so we can close it for this application.
Okay, thank you, Megan. Okay, so it looks like basically they have done exactly what we would have hoped. Best case scenario here, they've just relocated everything, so you can't see any of it. So yes, very good. So I will make a motion that the application be approved as submitted. Nick, do we want a proviso that just requires that it not be visible?
I think that would be fine. But
Okay.
actually, I should say, that's typically in our approval letters usually, so it doesn't matter. If you want to, I think
Yeah.
it would be fine. Yeah.
I think it's cleaner. I'll just say it's because we've validated the mock-up and so forth. So I'll just stick with move that it's approved as submitted. Do we hear a second?
Second.
I second it.
Okay, we will vote. Commissioner Allen,
Aye.
Commissioner Kiefer votes aye, Commissioner Steele.
Aye.
Okay, Shannon, thanks very much for coming in. The motion is approved. The application is approved. You'll get a letter from Nick affirming our determination. Any questions, just follow up with him directly. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
And we appreciate your hard work.
Yes, very much. Thanks. Okay, moving on to administrative review. I'm going to need to recuse myself for the first item, which is 37 Beacon Street. Any other either recusals, comments, questions, concerns on that or any other of the administrative review items? Okay, in that case, I will make a motion that
You have to share with the public.
oh yeah, thank you, Commissioner Allen. For those of us just joining you, without the intrepid conscientiousness of the Vice Chair of the Commission, Commissioner Allen, I think I would make this mistake every single month. She has nicely reminded me that we need to take public comment. Would anyone like to make, if you would like to make public comment on any of the administrative review items, now's the time. Please, again, press the raise hand button in your Zoom panel and Nick will acknowledge you and unmute you.
I'm
Okay.
not seeing any other comments, Mark, so we can close that for these
Okay.
applications.
Well, I'm glad we asked. In any case, thank you again, Arian. One of these years I will remember. Okay, so I will move that we approve en masse the administrative review items.
Aye.
Okay.
I second that.
Thank you. We will vote. Commissioner Allen.
Aye.
Commissioner Kiefer recuses himself with respect to the application for 37 Beacon number 26.1146BH and votes aye with respect to the remaining items. Commissioner Steele.
Aye. All of
Great. Okay, they are approved. We will have a quorum issue on that first one, 37 Beacon, but Nick will follow up with them to make sure they're aware of that and proceed accordingly. Nick, staff updates.
Nothing to report today, so just have a great weekend.
Right? Okay, quick hearing. Great,
Yes.
for that, with that, thank you, and likewise, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion
Motion
to
adjourned.
adjourn, yes.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Seconded, sure.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or extensions? Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great weekend.
Enjoy the
Thank
days of
you.
summer.
Happy
Take
Labor
care.
Day.
Happy summer.
Happy Labor Day, yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye,
Take
guys.
care.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
All right, take care.